come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Senators Bridges, Buckner, Coleman, Cook,
Excused.
Quorum.
Excused.
Danielson,
Good morning.
Donovan, Fields,
Present.
Gardner, Janal, Gonzalez, Hanson, Henriksen, Heisey, Holbert, Jaquez Lewis, Kirkmeyer,
Here.
Colker, Lee, Liston, Lundeen, Moreno, Pedersen, Priola, Rankin, Rodriguez, Scott,
Here.
Simpson, Smallwood, Sonnenberg,
Morning.
Story,
Here.
Winter, Woodward, Zenzinger, Coram,
Yeah.
Mr. President.
Here. The morning roll call is 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused. We have a quorum. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Rule 1B be suspended to allow someone other than a senator to lead us in the pledge, specifically future Senators James Coleman Jr. and Noemi Coleman.
You guys are going to have to live in different places if you want to be senators at the same time. You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Rule 1B will be suspended to allow someone other than a senator to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. This morning, we do have Senator Coleman's daughter, Naomi, and son, James Coleman Jr., here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead.
Please join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Approval of the journal. Senator Donovan. Or Gonzalez, or anybody. Oh, Senator Liston.
Very good. Mr. President, if I may, this is the last limerick of the day. We have a minority leader whose oratory can't be mistaken. His gift of gab can't be shaken. He's your best friend when he's attacking. You'll never see him slacking. Once he leaves the Senate, he'll really bring home the bacon. So with that, Mr. President, I move that the reading of the Journal of Thursday, March 17th of 2022 be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that motion is adopted. Senate Services.
Correctly printed Senate Bills 158, 159, 160, Senate Joint Resolution 008, Senate Resolution 003, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bill 143 and 144, correctly re-revised House Bill 1113, correctly enrolled Senate Bill 108.
Committee reports.
March 17, 2022, the Committee on Judiciary, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1279 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 17, 2022, the Committee on Education, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 87 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. March 17, 2022, the Committee on Education, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1049 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 17, 2022, the Committee on Education, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1032 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar March 17, 2022. The Committee on Education has had under consideration and has had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends that the appointments be confirmed. Members of the Institute of Cannabis Research Governing Board for terms expiring August 5, 2025. Joanna Ziegler, PhD of Boulder, Colorado, to serve as a scientist from a relevant field. Appointed Malik Muhammad Hassan of Public, Colorado, to serve as a member associated with cannabis-related industries. Reappointed Sherrod Marshawn Rogers of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a member associated with cannabis-related industries. Reappointed.
Message from the House.
March 17, 2022, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revisor of Statutes House Bills 1286, 1003, 1068, 1247, and 1055, amended as printed in House Journal March 16, 2022. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revisor of Statutes House Bill 1264. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bill 108.
Message from the Revisor.
We herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1264 without comment as amended, House Bill 1003, 1055, 1068, 1247, and 1286.
Introduction of bills.
House Bill 1025, Representatives Benavides and Kolker, concerning the repeal of infrequently used tax expenditures and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Finance.
House Bill 1093, Representatives McCormick and Ortiz, Senators Smallwood and Zenzinger, concerning the contact. House Bill 1093, Representatives McCormick and Will, Senators Smallwood and Zenzinger, concerning the conduct of charitable gaming activity and in connection therewith modernizing the bingo and raffles law to accommodate the use of improved electronic aids and devices in the conduct of games of chance and making an appropriation.
State Veterans Military Affairs.
House Bill 1098, Representatives Byrd and Bacon, Senators Liston and Coleman, concerning the elimination of barriers to obtaining authority to practice an occupation based on an individual's criminal history record and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Finance.
House Bill 1224 by Representatives Tipper and Super, Senator Gonzalez, concerning theft of public benefits.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1252, Representative Burnett and Senators Kirkmeyer and Jaquez Lewis, concerning provisions of public school contracts and in connection therewith specifying requirements and limitations for such provisions.
Education.
House Bill 1275, Representative McLaughlin and Larson, Senator Field, concerning the continuation of the School Safety Resource Center Advisory Board and in connection therewith implementing the recommendation in the Department of Regulatory Agency Sunset Report.
Education. Committee reports.
Committee on Agriculture and Natural March 17, 2022, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1092 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with the recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. March 17, 2022, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1168 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 17, 2022, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends recommends the following: House Bill 1022 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation, and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. March 17, 2022, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources has had under consideration and has had a hearing on the following appointments. It recommends that the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirm members of the State Agricultural Commission for terms expiring March 1st, 2025. David Block of Yuma, Colorado, Democrat for the 2nd Agricultural District appointed. Simon Martinez of Dolores, Colorado, Republican from the 4th Agricultural District to serve as a member from the state at large appointed. Roberto Mesa of Brighton, Colorado, Democrat from the 1st Agricultural District appointed. Nick Trainer of Watkins, Colorado, and an affiliate from the 1st Agricultural District to serve as a member from the state at large appointed.
General orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Zenzinger will take the chair.
The committee will come to order and the court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of all the bills on general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
House Bill 1037, Representatives Hooten and Van Winkle, Senators Hobart and Hawkes Lewis, concerning the ability of a person to operate a dual marijuana business at the same location. House Bill 1040 by Representatives Rich and Hooten, Senators Holbert and Story, concerning the right of a unit owner in common interest communities to have reasonable access to common elements of such communities. Senate Bill 152, Senators Fenberg and Hawkes Lewis, concerning authorization for a person whose residence is destroyed or becomes uninhabitable to continue to use the address of the residence as the person's residence for purposes of voting if the person intends to return to their residence once it has replaced or becomes habitable. Senate Bill 110, Senator Sonnenberg, Representative Pelton, concerning a requirement that a wind-powered energy generation facility be equipped with an aircraft lighting detection system. Senate Bill 139, Senators Buckner and Coleman, Representative Herron, concerning the establishment of Juneteenth as a state holiday.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There has been a request to remove Senate Bill 110 from the consent calendar. Colleagues, that will be placed at the bottom of your general orders, second reading of bills calendar.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And colleagues, with that, I move for the passage of all the bills on the second reading of bills consent calendar. There are no committee reports.
Senator Lundin.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I rise to speak about Senate Bill 139, which is on the consent calendar, not specifically in opposition to the bill. In fact, on thirds, I'll probably be a yes vote on the bill. But to discuss the fiscal note process that we worked through and how this bill calls up a certain set of challenges around how our fiscal notes are developed. The fiscal note, if you read carefully on 139, says that the bill potentially increases workload, et cetera, et cetera. There is no box. As legislators, we all watch for that box. How many dollars, how many FTE are going to be created by this legislation that we are proposing? There is no box on this bill, therefore no visible fiscal impact. In fact, the fiscal note even says, based on the assumptions above, referring to the fiscal note, any increase in expenditures is expected to be minimal and will be addressed through the annual budget process as necessary. Well, colleagues, there are 61,000 state employees. And if you do the math, one FTE is 250 person days in a year. 60,000 divided by 250 is 244 FTEs, the equivalent of 244 employees. The bill says those people won't be working for one day, so we lose 244 employee workdays. Now, state employees either work every day or they don't work every day. I believe they do. And therefore, there must be a fiscal note impact, a fiscal impact. I raise this simply in the context of a couple of bills that I brought recently. Senate Bill 123 said we should waive the penalties that are being charged to individuals who were unable to register their automobiles during the coronavirus pandemic, and their county offices may have been closed. The Department of Revenue said we need 120 employees to waive those penalties. Another bill that is in consideration at this point, Senate Bill 67, is a $2 million microgrant program for training for law enforcement. The appropriate Department of State government said we need a quarter, $500,000 of the $2 million grant in order to administer that grant. I'm challenging the way we go about measuring what the impact will be on state employees, state government, and the fiscal note process. This has a meaningful, colleagues, a meaningful impact on the policy we develop. When we show up in a committee with a fiscal note that says expensive, our colleagues all have a default no vote baked into a fiscal note that we have no control over the development of, that is controlled with a soft power of state departments, and it affects the policy of the state as we move forward. So, I rise in the context of a holiday proposition, Senate Bill 139, which I do not oppose, simply to say, colleagues, pay attention to how our fiscal notes are being developed, and let's be honest with ourselves. State employees either work every day or they don't. And if in fact they work every day, as I believe they do, the fiscal impact of Senate Bill 139 should be called out as the equivalent of the loss of 244 full-time equivalent state employees. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had a number of bills on consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendation thereof. Senate Bill 152, Senate Bill 139, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1037, House Bill 1040, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 110, removed from the general order second reading of bills consent calendar and placed at the end of the general order second reading bills consent calendar for 3/18/2022.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 152, Senate Bill 139 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1037, House Bill 1040 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 110 removed from the general order second reading of bills consent calendar and placed at the end of the general order second reading of bills calendar for 3/18/2022. General order second reading of bills. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself in the Committee of Whole for the consideration of general order second reading of bills.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the general orders, second reading of bills, and Senator Zenzinger will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. And the coat rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1044?
House Bill 1044, Representative Williams and Kennedy, Senator Bridges, concerning the selection of members of vacancy committees by central committees.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the passage of House Bill 1044.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1044. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and House Bill 1044 is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1266?
House Bill 1266, Representatives Tipper and Gray, Senator Winter, concerning modifications of the state employee total compensation philosophy to provide flexibility in state employee total compensation practices.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the final passage of House Bill 1266.
On second reading. The motion before the body is for the adoption. Is there any discussion? There is an amendment on the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L002?
Amendment L002.
Majority Leader Marino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L002. Colleagues, this amendment is pretty simple. It just says that any changes in total compensation are subject to available appropriations by the General Assembly. I ask for an aye vote.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I consider this a friendly amendment and also encourage a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L002. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 1266 is really about recruiting the best and brightest to work for the state of Colorado and making sure that we have a benefits package that really acknowledges how valuable our state employees are, and I encourage a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1266. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1086?
House Bill 1086, Representatives Sullivan and Bacon, Senators Field and Huckes Lewis, concerning prohibited openly carrying firearms at a voting location.
Majority Leader Marino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1086 lay over to the bottom of the second reading calendar.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to lay over House Bill 1086 until the bottom of the calendar. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill will be laid over to the bottom of the calendar. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1028?
House Bill 1028, Representatives Gray and Hooton, Senator Winter and Priola, concerning statewide regulation of persons approaching controlled intersections who are not operating motor vehicles.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the passage of House Bill 1028 on second readings, and I move for the passage of the Transportation and Energy Report.
To the report.
We made some important amendments that ensured that bicycle infrastructure allowed local governments in intersections that might be too busy, not have the appropriate line of sight, that they could put up bicycle infrastructure, saying when this is appropriate and when this is not. I think this is a smart amendment, and I encourage a yes vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of the Transportation and Energy Report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a bill concerning safety stops, which reduces bicycle and traffic accidents by up to 30%. It's safer for bicyclists, it's safer for drivers, and I encourage a yes vote.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, former Senator from Jeffco, Andy Kerr, testified in committee, and I'm sure he's probably watching this at home right now and very excited, so ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1028. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Will the clerk Majority Leader Moreno?
We're on 110, right?
Do we want to lay over 1089?
Thank you.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1089 lay over until Wednesday, March 23rd.
The motion is to lay over House Bill 1089 until March 23rd. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and House Bill 1089 will be laid over until March 23rd. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1104?
House Bill 1104, Representatives Bazenaker, Senator Priola, and Bridges concerning public recreational trails and electric transmission corridors of the state, and in connection therewith encouraging transmission providers to enter into written agreements for the construction and maintenance of power line trails and requiring transmission providers to provide informational resources and notify local governments regarding the potential for power line trails when planning for the expansion or constitution of transmission corridors.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1104. There is no committee report.
And there should be an amendment at the desk.
There is an amendment on the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L006?
Amendment L006.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this issue was brought up in committee, and I've worked with
You need to move the
I
amendment.
move L006.
There we go.
This this issue was brought up in committee, and I committed to work with Senator Donovan to clarify the bill. It adds a couple of lines here. Prior to construction of power line trail in the area of significant rural character, public entities shall consider any issues unique to the area, including issues related to grazing, wildlife impacts, potential public-private landowners. Ask for an aye vote.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to add my thanks to Senator Donovan for flagging this. I think this improves the bill, and really appreciate her time and attention and care and perspective that she brought to this bill with that amendment.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L006. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. To the bill, Senator Priola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill simply moves the conversation forward in the discussion of future utility corridors. I think it's a good policy change and improvement, and will hopefully benefit rural and urban parts of the state. Ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is for the adoption of House Bill 1104. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 110?
Senate Bill 110, Senator Sonnenberg, Representative Pelton, concerning a requirement that a wind-powered energy generation facility be equipped with an aircraft detection lighting system.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Nope.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 110 to Tuesday, March 22nd.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 110 until Tuesday. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is laid over until Tuesday. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1086?
House Bill 1086, Representatives Sullivan and Bacon, Senators Field and Huckes Lewis, concerning prohibiting openly carrying firearms at a voting location.
Senator Huckes Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the passage of House Bill 1086.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is for the adoption of House Bill 1086. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1044, House Bill 1266 is amended, House Bill 1028 is amended, House Bill 1104 is amended, House Bill 1086 passed on second reading in order, revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 110 laid over until 3/22/2022 and retaining its place on the calendar. House Bill 1089 laid over until 3/23/2022 and retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 1044, 1266 as amended, House Bill 1028 as amended, House Bill 1104 as amended, House Bill 1086 passed in second reading in order revised and placed on calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 110 laid over until 3/22 and retaining its place on the calendar. House Bill 1089 laid over until 3/23 and retaining its place on the calendar. Committee reports.
March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1024 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1060 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1229 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. March 18, 2022, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1257 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 001 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 007 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 008 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 010 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. March 18, 2022, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 018 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 36 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 53 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 55 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 57 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 97 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 114 be amended as follows, and as so amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. March 18, 2022, the Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 153 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate take up House Bills 1229, House Bill 1257, Senate Bill 10, and Senate Bill 18 on second reading consent calendar at the hour of special orders consent calendar at the hour of 9:52 a.m.
Mr. Majority Leader, would it be helpful if we got a digital clock? Yes. Would that be easier? Okay. The motion is the Senate take up House Bills 1229, 1257, and Senate Bills 10 and 18 on special orders consent at the hour of 9:52 a.m. This requires a 2/3 majority. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. That motion is adopted. The Senate will take up House Bills 1229, 1257, Senate Bills 10 and 18 on special orders consent at the hour of 9:52 a.m. Special orders, second reading bills, consent calendar. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate take up special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar. Let me start over. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar, and Senator Zenzinger will take the chair. Yeah, you were reading his stuff.
The committee will come to order and the court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of all the bills on special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1229, Representatives Weissman and Soper, Senators Gardner and Gonzalez, concerning adopting clean-up provisions to Senate Bill 271, which enacted the 2021 recommendations of the Colorado Commission on Criminal and Juvenile Justice and in connection therewith making an appropriation. House Bill 1257 by Representatives Weissman and Soper, Senator Gonzalez and Gardner, concerning the adoption of 2022 recommendations of the Colorado Criminal Juvenile Justice Commission regarding sentencing provisions for offenses and in connection therewith making an appropriation. Senate Bill 10, Senators Simpson and Lee, Representatives Benavides and Amabile, concerning pretrial diversion programs that are intended to identify eligible individuals who have behavioral health disorders in order to divert them from the criminal justice system into the community treatment programs. Senate Bill 18, Senators Lee and Cook, Representatives Benavides and Soper, concerning expanding the court reminder program.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the passage of all the bills on the special order second reading of bills consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1229 and its associated Judiciary Committee report, House Bill 1257 and the associated Judiciary Committee report, Senate Bill 10 and the associated Judiciary Committee report, and Senate Bill 18 and the associated Judiciary and Appropriations Committee reports.
Is there any discussion on any of the reports? Seeing none, the motion before the body is for the adoption of the reports of those bills on consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Thank you, Senator Lee. The reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion before the body is for the adoption of the bills on the consent calendar. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 10 is amended. Senate Bill 18 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1229 is amended. House Bill 1257 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 10 as amended, Senate Bill 18 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1229 is amended, House Bill 1257 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Consideration of resolutions. Will the clerk, also known as Mrs. Reader, since I was Mr. Committee, will the clerk please read the titles to House Joint Resolution 1015 and Senate, or just House Joint Resolution 1015?
House Joint Resolution 1015, Representatives Carver and Ortiz, Senators Heisey and Lee, concerning the designation of a portion of Colorado State Highway 115 as the CW3 Scott A.M. Oswald Memorial Highway.
Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Heisey and I are honored to bring this resolution concerning the designation of a portion of Colorado State Highway 115 in Colorado Springs by Fort Carson in the name of Scott A.M. Oswald Memorial Highway, a 1 mile stretch of the land. Scott Oswald became a resident of Colorado Springs and attended the Air Academy. He then enlisted at age 17 into the Marine Corps, served for 7 years between 1990 and 1997, and then left the Marine Corps, lived civilian life for about a year, and then enlisted, volunteered again into the U.S. Army and served for 9 years, becoming a helicopter pilot, and then was deployed to Mosul in Iraq, where he was killed, a true hero serving his country.
Senator Lee, will you move the resolution?
I move House Joint Resolution 22-1015. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Heisey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Scott Oswald was a dedicated military man, fought for his country, and was honored for it. So let me read some of his citations and military decorations here. They included the Bronze Star, the Air Medal, 2 awards, the Army Commendation Medals, 3 awards with a V device for valor, the Army Achievement Medal, 2 awards, the Navy Achievement Medal, the Army Good Conduct Medal, the Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal, 2 awards, the Iraq Campaign Medal, and the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, and the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and Chief Warrant Officer Scott A.M. Oswald was inducted into the prestigious Sergeant Audie Murphy Club. I would ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1015? Seen none. The motion is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1015. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1015 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Heisey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to House Joint Resolution 1015. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 7?
Senate Joint Resolution 007, Senators Fields and Gonzalez, Representatives Herod and Caraveo, concerning designating March as Triple Negative Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 007, and I move the resolution.
Is there any discussion? Senator Fields.
Mr. President and colleagues, I'm really honored to present this resolution today because 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And this statistic is probably not unfamiliar with you because breast cancer awareness is typically in October. But we're talking about a very subtype of breast cancer, and it's called triple negative breast cancer. Now, this type of cancer is kind of hard to diagnose. And I don't know if you have a sister or a mother or a friend who has bravely battled breast cancer, but it's important that early detection is recognized. My mom's sister, her oldest sister, had breast cancer, and she lived on. She was diagnosed in 1964. And she went on to live until she was 93 years old. So this is something that can be treated. It's something that we can fight, but it takes us to make sure that we understand and do the proper measures to make sure that we're checking our breasts for any lumps and those kinds of things. So members, I urge and I vote on this resolution today, acknowledging triple negative breast cancer.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you so much to the good senator from Arapahoe County for her leadership and her invitation for me to join her in highlighting the importance of this resolution. This breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer, is disproportionately impacting young women and also particularly young women of color. And this particular form of breast cancer tends to be more aggressive, harder to treat, and is more likely to be diagnosed at a late stage than other forms of breast cancer. And so it's why we're here today, representing both the Black and the Latino caucuses, to raise awareness and to help encourage more people to get tested, to get the diagnostic testing, screening, and the care that they need so that we can improve early detection and survival. Thank you so very much, colleagues, for taking a moment to acknowledge this important issue in our communities.
The motion is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 7. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 7 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this morning's roll call be added to the list as co-sponsors for today's joint resolution.
See no objection. The current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to Senate Joint Resolution 7.
Thank you.
Consideration of House amendments. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 26?
Senate Bill 26, Senators Janal and Kirkmeyer, Representatives Bayesenacre and Rich, concerning an oil and gas operator's sole ability to review and protest property tax.
Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 26.
Is there any discussion? Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House adopted one amendment, and that was the definition of a well or a unit operator that was included in one section of the bill, in the introduced bill, and then it had to apply to another section. So that was a single change to Senate Bill 26, And then the bill passed out of the House unanimously. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? The motion is the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 26. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the motion is adopted. Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the readoption of Senate Bill 26.
The motion is the repassage of Senate Bill 26. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 26 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Senator Zenzinger. Sonnenberg. Jaquez Lewis. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 95?
Senate Bill 95, Senators Fields and Moreno, Representatives Gonzalez, Gutierrez, and Bacon concerning improving missing person investigations.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 95.
Is there any discussion? Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House merely added 2 changes. One was we added a definition of older adults in the Senate. Turns out that that statutory citation may be subject to sunset review this year, so we merely added adults 50 years or older, and then slightly changed the definition to be slightly more inclusive for minority communities. Ask for an aye vote.
The motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 95. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the motion is adopted. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the readoption of Senate Bill 95.
The motion is the repassage of Senate Bill 95. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 95 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 115?
Senate Bill 115, Senators Jaquez Lewis and Gardner, Representative Soper and Tipper concerning clarifying certain items as the terms relate to a landowner's liability.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 115.
Any explanation? Senator Jaquez Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amended Senate Bill 115 to correct a grammatical error, a typographical error, and to make one change in wording that will more clearly tie the bill to express legislative intent of the act.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, members, more to the point, the House Judiciary Committee grammarian noted that we had an improper noun-verb agreement in the bill, and that somehow we had left the word only in when it needed to take out, which were both good and fine changes. I reluctantly agree with the third one. What we said in this case, and this is the premises liability bill in which we took a look at what the state Supreme Court had done and basically said, no, that wasn't really what we thought the statute said when it was passed and longstanding. And so what we had said in the bill originally was that the 2 cases there were improperly decided by the Colorado Supreme Court. But apparently the House Judiciary Committee thought that that was impolitic and that we should say, rather than improperly decided, we should more diplomatically say, do not accurately reflect the intent of the General Assembly.
we ask for an aye vote for concurrence.
Is there any further discussion about the agreement? Motion is that the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 115. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, the motion is adopted. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move for the repassage of the far more grammatically perfect and diplomatic version of Senate Bill 115.
The motion is the repassage of Senate Bill 115. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 115 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Message from the House.
The House has adopted and transmits herewith House Joint Resolution 1016 as printed in House Journal March 18th, 2022.
Introduction and consideration of resolutions. Will the clerk please read the title to House Joint Resolution 1016?
House Joint Resolution 1016, Representatives Duran and Rich, Senators Jaquez, Lewis, and Winter, concerning the recognition of National Women's History Month and in connection therewith designating March as Colorado Women's History Month.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of HJR 1016 and wish for it to be read at length.
Will the clerk please read House Joint Resolution 1016 at length?
I know. Thanks.
House Joint Resolution 1016, Representatives Duran and Rich, Senators Jaquez, Lewis, and Winter, concerning the recognition of National Women's History Month and in connection therewith designating March as Colorado Women's History Month. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways, especially in the areas of political and social change, and whereas the United States boasts a rich history of women whose vast and courageous achievements speak to the sense of excellence and potential shared by all Americans, and whereas our country would not be where it is without the strength, bravery, and insight and persistence of the women who have come before us, and whereas American women have played and continue to play a critical economic, cultural, political, and social role in every sphere of the life of the nation by constituting a significant portion of the labor force, working inside and outside of the home as everything from educators to astronauts, and whereas American women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements that create a more fair and just society for all. And whereas the fight for women's suffrage from the first Women's Rights Convention to enfranchisement lasted 72 years, with women from all walks of life, political views, and demographic backgrounds asking for the right to voice their opinions at the polls. And whereas before full suffrage, women in Colorado were only granted the right to vote in school elections, and whereas Susan B. Anthony and others traveled over mountain passes and to remote parts of Colorado to hold suffrage rallies, and whereas many referendums were proposed but failed because they were only voted on by men, and it took male allies to support women in their endeavor to vote, for it was sons, husbands, and fathers who ultimately heeded their calls. And whereas most of the women who asked for the right to vote never lived to see the enfranchisement of women, and whereas daughters, granddaughters, and great-granddaughters of the women who fought so hard to vote have made their voices heard at the polls for more than 100 years. And whereas women have not only played a critical economic, cultural, and social role in our society, but women have also permanently changed the face of American government and politics. And whereas in 1893, Colorado was the first state to give women the right to vote through popular vote, and a year later, Colorado was the first state to elect women to the state legislature, and whereas on December 15, 1919, Colorado ratified the 19th Amendment, and on August 26, 1920, after the remaining 35 states ratified the amendment, the 19th Amendment became law. And whereas even though the 19th Amendment had passed, not all women could vote yet. The struggle continued with the following activities, expanding the number of women voting. The last treaty giving Native Americans the right to vote was passed in 1924, and at that point, all Native American women citizens could vote. The federal policy barring immigrants of Asian descent from becoming United States citizens was repealed in 1952, allowing women of Asian descent the right to vote. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, VRA, signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson, aimed to overcome legal barriers at the state and local levels that prevented African American citizens from exercising their right to vote as guaranteed under the 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution, and the VRA was later expanded to ensure that all election materials were also made available in Spanish so that all Hispanic American citizens had access. And whereas the first women elected to the Colorado General Assembly in 1894 were Clara Cressingham and Frances S. Cluck, both from Arapahoe County, and Carrie C. Hawley from Pueblo County. And whereas more than 200 women have served in the General Assembly since 1913, including Helen R. Robinson, who became the first woman to serve in the Colorado Senate, and more than 30 of those women have served in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. And whereas past women of distinction within the Colorado General Assembly include Ari Parks Taylor, the first African American woman elected to the Colorado General Assembly, Polly Baca, the first minority woman and first Latina elected to the Colorado State Senate, the first Latina in the nation to serve in both the House of Representatives and the Senate of her state legislature, and the first Latina to serve in leadership in any state legislature within the United States, Carrie Hawley, the first woman in the United States history to initiate and pass a bill which concerned raising the age of consent for women from 16 to 18 years old. Frances Cluck, the first woman to chair a committee, Indian and Military Affairs. Betty Benavides, the first Latina elected to the Colorado General Assembly. Norma Anderson, the first woman majority leader in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Joan Fitzgerald, the first woman minority leader in the Senate and president of the Senate. Ruth Stockton, the first woman to chair the Joint Budget Committee and the first woman president pro tempore of the Senate. Crisanta Duran, the first Latina Speaker of the House, and Lola Spradley, the first woman Speaker of the House. And whereas those pioneering women paved the way for so many firsts in the current legislature, including Brianna Tatone, the first transgender woman elected to the Colorado General Assembly, Iman Judah, the first Muslim elected to the Colorado General Assembly, Naketa Ricks, the first black immigrant elected to the Colorado General Assembly, Leslie Herod, the first black openly gay legislator elected to the Colorado General Assembly, and Danea Esgar, the first openly gay woman to serve in House leadership in Colorado. And whereas women are running for office in unprecedented numbers, following in the footsteps of these great suffragists, and whereas today women legislators play a vital role in addressing difficult social and economic issues and helping our country and the state of Colorado prepare for the future, and whereas Colorado has a high percentage of women serving in the state legislature at 45%, while the national percentage of women state legislators is 30.7%, and whereas Colorado currently has 45 women serving in the General Assembly, which is the largest number of women in the legislature in Colorado's history, and whereas such contributions and leadership in areas that help women improve their lives and the lives of those around them led the United Nations in 1975 to designate March 8th as International Women's Day and led the United States Congress in 1987 to designate the month of March as National Women's History Month. Now, therefore, Be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 73rd General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that we, the members of the 73rd General Assembly, hereby declare the month of March 2022 to be Colorado Women's History Month in recognition of the struggles, accomplishments, and contributions of American women throughout history. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to each member of Colorado's congressional delegation, Governor Jared Polis, Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera, Secretary of State Jenna Griswold, State Treasurer Dave Young, Attorney General Phil Weiser, the League of Women Voters of Colorado, the Coalition Against Global Genocide, and the Colorado Women's Hall of Fame.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, please be seated. Thank you for your time and indulgence today to recognize Women's History Month in Colorado. We have a very strong history in Colorado of supporting women's history. In fact, on many accounts, we are the first parliamentary body in the world to elect women, nearly 150 years ago. And yet, we still have not reached parity. There are still numerous barriers to getting more women elected to office. I've spent a better part of 2 decades recruiting and training women to run for office, and we still have institutions that are designed for folks that are independently wealthy, that are married, that have full access to childcare, and ultimately our democracy is best served when we have a full representation of backgrounds and opinions and upbringings at the table, and that includes more women, more BIPOC women, more GLBTQ women. And in Colorado, we still have yet to elect a woman governor. We're one of the few states that haven't. We still have yet to elect a woman to the United States Senate, and we've never had a woman mayor of Denver. So we have a lot of work yet to do to reach parity, and we've been working on it for 150 years. And so thank you for talking about this today, and ultimately, we have a lot of firsts to be proud of, and I specifically want to thank both Senate President Joan Fitzgerald and Senator Polly Baca, who I never would have been in this seat without their mentorship and help and their belief in myself. And that shows the power of what happens when we get to this body and we lift as we rise. There's folks that work to build power and share power, and there's folks that see it as a scarce resource. And so for everyone that looks at sharing power and getting more women into this building, thank you for all that you've done. And the most astounding part of this resolution that I found is that there's only been 30 women that have served in the House and the Senate, and we're 2 of them. That's less than the number of people in this room. So we have a lot of work to do, and thank you all for the work that you do to help us reach equality and parity, because ultimately our democracy depends on it.
Senator Hawkins Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, it wasn't until we received this resolution that we learned that there had only been 30 women in the Senate. I want to thank mentors who have helped me along the way, certainly Polly Baca. I travel in her footsteps. I've known her for many years as we're related, and also admiring the work of Betty Benavidez. And I wanted to take a moment to tie this to where we are in our history of our state and our country today, because in particular we're reminded of the role of women not only in the legislature, but in dealing with the pandemic and what we've faced of late. In fact, the theme for Women's History Month for 2022 is actually promoting healing, promoting hope, and that's because of the tireless work of so many women being frontline workers, being caregivers, in responding to all the different needs of our community. And women as healers reach back for thousands of years. And in particular, we see how important our work is in our community and recovery as we face everything that coming out of the pandemic. I thank you for taking the time to recognize the work of women in Colorado and the country, and thank you for your support.
Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, sponsors, for bringing this resolution forward. I rise in strong support, and I just wanted to share a story with you. I couldn't help but hear a name that was brought up, and I wanted to share a story that I thought was, well, I don't believe in coincidences, but this might have been coincidental. It's appropriate for this resolution as well. A few summers ago, I did a hut-to-hut trek in Yosemite National Park. It was a 5-day hut-to-hut, and you meet different people along the way in the different huts in the evening when you're having dinner. And happened to run into a gentleman and his son, whose last name was Robinson, and we started chatting about what we did. He owned a local newspaper in California and was on this hike with his son from hut to hut. And then he brought up his grandmother. His grandmother was Helen Ring Robinson. And at that point, it didn't really dawn on me. And thinking back, and this was about probably 7 or 8 years ago, I didn't realize that Helen Ring Robinson, 1878 to 1923, was an American suffragette, a writer, and she held a political office. Well, she was the first woman to be elected to the state senate here in Colorado. She was a Democrat. She was a trailblazer. And I have to say that the one thing he asked of me when I came back is he wanted a picture of her on one of the sessions, and I had to look hard for it, but it's down in the basement of the Capitol because it is very old. She served from, I think she served in 1912, and she was the first woman state senator and the second in the United States. I just thought that was coincidental but really important. I had to bring it up because I think she should be remembered, and who knew that she would be remembered in such a way where I'm hiking in Yosemite and meeting up with her grandson and her great-grandson. So thank you again for bringing this resolution forward, and thank you, Helen Ring Robinson, for being first senator here in Colorado.
The motion is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1016. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Joint Resolution 1016 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Jaquez Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to add this morning's roll call as for co-sponsors of House Joint Resolution 22-1016.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to House Joint Resolution 1016.
Great.
Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Members of the State Housing Board for terms expiring January 31st, 2025, Samuel Gerard Betters of Loveland, Colorado, to serve as a Democrat and resident of the 2nd Congressional District, reappointed. Jarrett Ryan Moses of Colorado Springs, Colorado, to serve as a Democrat and resident of the 5th Congressional District, appointed.
Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments on the consent calendar, which includes members of the State Housing Board.
Is there any discussion? The motion is the confirmation of all the appointments on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, all of the appointments are confirmed. Message from the governor.
Thursday, March 17, 2022, Colorado Senate. Honorable members of the Colorado Senate, pursuant to the authority vested in the office of the Governor of the State of Colorado, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and filed with the Secretary of State the following acts. Senate Bill 14, Colorado Youth Advisory Council updates, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 1:21 p.m. Senate Bill 24, intimidating a witness changes, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 12:42 p.m. Senate Bill 37, Tony Grampus Youth Services Program, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 12:28 p.m. Senate Bill 45, modifications to Colorado Public Benefit Corporation Act, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 1:21 p.m. Senate Bill 56, UNC Osteopathic Medicine Degrees, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 12:48 p.m. Senate Bill 64, Neighborhood Youth Organizations, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 12:24 p.m. Senate Bill 91, non-substantive changes to rule review statutes, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 1:20 p.m. Senate Bill 102, transparency out-of-home placements, developmental disabilities, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 1:20 p.m. Senate Joint Resolution 002, Water Projects Eligibility List, approved on Thursday, March 17, 2022 at 1:21 p.m. Sincerely, Jared Polis, Governor.
Before we get to announcements, just wanted to say, many of you probably noticed we had a late committee last night. I want to thank, on behalf of this entire chamber, our sergeants and our staff, as well as our committee members, for keeping things civil and on track and keeping everybody safe. So thank you all for your hard work, and I'm sure you're tired today, but we really appreciate your service. Announcements. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I request a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you. Members, we are joined today by students from Regis University who are here for their Advocacy Day at the Capitol as ambassadors of the Office of Service Learning at Regis University. They are in the back corner there. We at Regis really adhere to our university's motto, which is men and women in service of others, and they take it seriously. They come down here and they learn about policies that affect their world and their communities, and they try to put that into action. And so if you have a moment today, I invite you all to introduce yourselves. I tried to reach out to those that have senators in the room that are connected to these students, but would just like to say that we welcome them and wish them good luck today as you're going through the experience of your advocacy. And thank you for all of your role in and devotion to community service.
Further announcements. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, to what I'm sure will be your bitter disappointment, I have personal business to attend to on Monday, March 21st, which coincidentally is the first day of spring, and request to be excused. I have spoken with the majority and minority leader.
Senator Gardner will be marked as excused on Monday, March 21st. Further announcements. Majority Leader Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn until 10 a.m. on Monday, March 21st.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will adjourn until 10 a.m. Monday, March 21st, 2022.